webinar conference series. Ladies and gentlemen, firstly, let us praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, and sequel is for those who keep their duty unto Him. Further, there will be no hostility except against wrongdoers. Secondly, salawat and salam is sent Honorable Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his family, all his disciples, and those who follow them in goodness till the day of judgment. In this very special occasion, I'm pleased to welcome you to the third international webinar series on pharmacy entitled Clinical Drug Development of Herbal Medicine. This is part of conference series in 24th anniversary, or we call Milad Universitas Muhammadiyah Kudus agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, medicines have become a very important and powerful tool now no more than ever in improving the health status of population and in the long term for reducing healthcare costs, especially during this pandemic COVID-19. Natural products constitute a key source of pharmacological active ingredient in a variety of novel agents with therapeutic potential in a wide range of diseases, especially in this pandemic COVID-19 era. Pharmaceutical contain natural products or compounds derived from natural products. Scaffold or templates have to undergo the same stringent approval process as drug obtained from purely scientific origin. In our attempt to use natural product for drugs, drug design is needed. Ladies and gentlemen, one example of herbal medicine in our country, Indonesia, is we call jamu. Jamu has been practiced by for many centuries in Indonesia community to maintain good health and to treat disease. Although modern or conventional medicine is becoming increasingly important in Indonesia, jamu is still very popular in rural as well as in urban areas. Based on its traditional use, jamu is being developed into a rational form of therapy by herbal practitioner and in the form of phytopharmaceuticals. Jamu has accrued a potential benefit both economically and clinically. Later on, the most frequently used plants in jamu that have also been investigated regarding their constituents and pharmacological effects. I believe that by participating in this international webinar, we are the right place and the right time, and I wish you all a very successful webinar. Thank you for all attention and collaboration. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Mrs. Ani Roshana Masito. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the opening of third international webinar series on pharmacy at the University of Muhammadiyah, Kudus. That's all from me as Master of Ceremony. Let's close with saying Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Nasrul minallah wa fathun qarib wa basyiril mu'minin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Now we come to the main agenda of the international webinar series on pharmacy in the agenda of 24th anniversary University of Muhammadiyah Kudus, entitled Clinical Drug Development of Herbal Medicine. This will be guided by Mrs. Apotheker Harisma Aprilita, Master of Pharmacy, as moderator. The stage is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in, amma ba'd. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the third international webinar series on pharmacy in the agenda of 24th anniversary University of Muhammadiyah Kudus. The Excellency Rector University of Muhammadiyah Kudus, Dr. Master of Epidemiology, the Honorable All Speakers, Dr. Chia Jung from Taipei Medical University, Taiwan, Associate Professor Dr. Malina Jasamai from Universiti Kebangsaan, Malaysia, Mrs. Apotheker retnowati, Master of Pharmacy, Universiti Muhammadiyah Kudus, Mr. Apotheker Muhammad Nurul Fadel, Master of Pharmacy, Universiti Muhammadiyah Kudus, the Honorable Vice Rector for Academic Affairs, Mrs. Hidayah, Master of Health, the Honorable Vice Rector for Administration and Finance, Mr. Rizka Himawan, Master of Psychology, the Honorable Vice Rector for Student Affairs and Cooperation, Mrs. Ani Rosiana Mashikoh, Master of Nursing, Mental Health Nurse Specialist, the Dean and Vice Dean from Faculty of Pharmacy, University of Muhammadiyah Kudus, the Head of Department Pharmacy Study Program, Mrs. Shin Wambu, Convener Taiwan International Healthcare Training Center, and all participants that already joined in this international webinar today. Let's praise to our Lord, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, for His mercies and grace. Our deep gratitude is be upon to our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to third international webinar series on pharmacy. Today, we are going to talk about clinical drug development of herbal medicine. As we know, COVID-19 pandemic has broken up all sectors in all countries over the world. Every single country is now trying to find the best solution to overcome and get away from this pandemic. Vaccination and medicine are developed to cure its virus, and herbal medicine is one of alternative solutions to cure or minimize the spread out of COVID-19. In our country, in Indonesia, we have jamu, or called original traditional herbal medicine, and perhaps other countries have another name for their herbal medicines. So let me introduce myself. My name is Harisma Aprilita. I will serve as moderator for this webinar. One more time, we would like to say thank you to Superintendents of Taiwan International Health Training Center for the collaboration and support for this webinar. Together with us, we have three expert speakers who will talk about this topic deeply today. So to save our time, let's keep in touch with the first speaker, Dr. Chia Jung from Taipei Medical University. Is Mrs. Chia Jung already joined in this Zoom? Good morning, Mrs. Chia Jung.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chia Jung Lee. I'm from Taiwan, Taipei Medical University, and now I'm Associate Professor from a PhD program in Clinical Drug Development of Herbal Medicine. So today, I just wanted to share the new generation of Chinese medicine research. And let me introduce myself first. So now I'm just working with the TCM, and I wanted to understand and isolate the compound from the herbs and do some chemical efficacy and transfer to the pharmacokinetics and the pharmacodynamics. Okay, so today I just wanted to share with you some kinds of the thinking way. So what is Chinese medicine and how do Chinese medicine treat it? And what is the Chinese medicine theory? And further to the pharmacokinetics. And as we know for the COVID, so I wanted to introduce about a little bit the drug formula from the base side to the branch. And next, the last part is the new generation of Chinese medicine research. Okay, so the first part, what is Chinese medicine? So what is this? Have you ever seen this herbal medicine before? So that is the wormwood. So it can used for the sound mox burst or for the warm birth or even to can put into a starch and put on your site. And it's a very good the drugs for the regular of the blood systems. And the next, what is this? So as we know, this is a kind of the fruit, a tangerine, but in herbal medicine, maybe we will use that the tangerine pills. So we can use that the pill as a drinking, and maybe we can do the further processing to use these kinds of the drugs. And even though we can sell this as the market. And this drug is good for the regular of the Qi. But as we know, what is the herbal medicine or Chinese medicine? But not just only in Taiwan or China. So in many various countries, they have their own traditional herbal medicine, or even though they drink a lot of the herbal tea in the daily life. And some European or the Asian or think that the herbal medicine is really good for health. But is that still needed very scientific or reference or evidence to support it really works? And And what is herbal medicine? So we can use that the source, the nature, or the collection, processing to define or to introduce about the herbal medicine. Okay, so what is that the traditional Chinese medicine theory? So we have a lot of different kinds of the way to use or to introduce that. So I just briefly introduce about the 5-element theory, the 6 axis treated, and yin and yang. So when these kinds of the color pump out from your site, so what do you think? So in different kinds of the color, or they show the different kinds of the meaning. So maybe first the green color. So we think that everything just grow up and as a tree. So that is the 5-element theory. So when we see that the red color, we feel hot, we will think about the fire. And even though the tree can produce as a fire. And the yellow means that the dust, the central of the world or everything. So the yellow can turn to the dust, and after wood and fire, so that will produce that the earth or the dust. And the white means that the blight or the metal, and we can find some different kinds of the things from the dust from the earth. And the last part is the black. In TCM theory, we think that it means that the cold means that the north way and present as the water. So the 5-element theory, we can summarize as this table. So for the wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, so we can use a lot of thinking or image to explain that or to introduce that. So even that the origination, so we can find that from the sun rise from the east and turn to, and the heart is means that the south, the earth means the middle way, and the west and the north, and even for the season. And so some kinds of, you may heard about the different kinds of the organ or the systems. So liver, heart, spleen, lung, and kidney is another way to explain the 5-elementary theory. And how the doctor do the diagnosis and find some information from the patient. Maybe we can check with the eye, the thumb, the mouth, nose, ears. So that is make that the TCM theory more comprehensive and maybe a little bit more like heard some story or make a little bit like the legend. And just previously we mentioned, if we put that the 5 element together as a circle, so we can easily find this present that the generation interaction, or means that the produce. So just as previously we mentioned, wood, fire, earth, metal, water, and we can check or even that find the different source, or even that the tasty, sour, bitter, sweet, spicy, or even that the salt. So that is the based on the theory just from the nature. So we hope that the TCM, the herbal medicine, can help the human from the nature and find the balance between the systems. And even though not just only with the creation, but they still with some overcome to can reduce the way from each of the systems. And how do Chinese medicine treat it? So just previously we mentioned, so why one person gets sick? So most often according to the weather. So for example, now in Taiwan, it's a little bit cold, not so cold, a little bit cool, but at the season change, so some people may get a flu or get a cold, may feel uncomfortable. So not everyone will be so suffer from the these kinds of the situation. So according to the nature, so wind, cold, heat, summer heat, dryness, dampness, that will be make the body feel uncomfortable. And it's these kinds of the ills get into our body from the different sites, and maybe get some different kinds of the influence. And so the wind maybe from the spring or can get into from the get into the head, and then us feel cold. And in the summer, is that still too hot? So you will feel sweat and the fever or anything. So that is the reason why the people will get sick. So but just we mentioned a lot of the Chinese medicine or the theory, even though we explain more, but you think more confused. So most probably when people talk about traditional Chinese medicine, you may think, is that real, or is that really good for health? So maybe another kinds of the TCM maybe get some trouble, because it's really hard to understand and control, and complex. It's too comprehensive because thousands different kinds of the herb, different kinds of the treated strategy, different kinds of the theory, and maybe you will think that the method is actually for you. That is the reason why we wanted to show more evidence or create more quality control or the experiment to that the TCM more scientific and more reliable, and we can trust about the TCM, the herbal medicine. So what we can do, because in the previously we introduced the different kinds of the drug, shown different kinds of the characteristic, even that for the 4G, 5 flavor, and even though we can use processing to reduce some toxicity, and we can produce put a lot of different kinds of herb together, prepare a kind of the formula to cure or to progress the different kinds of the symptom. But is that still be unknown, or it's really hard to understand? So we use that the 4G is that the hot, warmth, coolness, and cold. So that means that when you feel okay, the strategy means that when you feel hot or no, I needed to explain that again. So the slides show the characteristic about the drugs. So what means that hot and warm? So when you take these kinds of the medicine, and that will your body feel a little bit warm, or the temperature will be a little bit increased, so that we can treat it and cure the different kinds of the cold patterns or cold syndrome. the same thinking idea. So when you take some drugs and can relieve your fever, can that you feel coolness, can so that means the drug shown present the cold properties, and that can cure the heat pattern or the syndrome. And what is the five flavor? Just previously we mentioned as the five elementary theory, the different kinds of the drugs. When you take the first things, maybe you feel, oh, okay, it's a little bit beet or the salt. So in the theory, we think that the different kinds of the flavor, the test can tend that the drug to the different target, to the different organ. So that is just previously we mentioned the five elementary systems. You can show in the whole body, and just even though to explain the each kind of the efficacy of the drugs, but it still be unknown. So we use a little bit different kinds of experiment to explain that. So we collect that the 88 kinds of the herbal medicine together, and we extract that. Use water, ethanol, acetone to extract the different kinds of the component. And further, we use that the phytochemical content, such kinds of the total polyphenol, total flavonoid, cocoa condensed tannin, or the saponin or coumarin. We wanted to understand what may including in this kind of the extract. And the second, we wanted to use that some different kinds of bioactivity assay to try to explain what they shown the different kinds of the efficacy. So we use that the antioxidant, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and the lipid metabolism way to use these 88 kinds of herbal medicine extract to analyze the efficacy. Then further, we use that the traditional classification way, use that 5 flavor, 4 natures to do the correlation between each other. So we hope that after these kinds of the experiment can let us more a little bit understand what these kinds of content with the different kinds of the component, and these kinds of the component show different kinds of the efficacy or way to treat it. So for this figure, we can easily figure out according to the 5 different kinds of the flavor and use 4 different kinds of the experiment, we can find the pertinent drugs show more antibacterial efficacy. And for example, for the this way can be a little bit more anti-inflammatory or antioxidant efficacy. And use this similar thinking way, we can turn it to the foreign nature, but we including one after balance with the nature, no specific feeling when we test that the drugs. So we find a little bit of difference between our original thinking way. We find out the hot characteristic drugs show more antibacterial, anti-inflammatory effect, right? So it's really interesting. So sometimes if we just really trust about the 2000 years ago what they talk, so maybe we still can use some experiment to explain to that we feel more reliable about the herbal medicine. Okay, so that is the just previously we mentioned. So we use different kinds of the herb and this kind of experiment to let us feel, understand. So like ginger, so it test purging, feel hot, but show very good antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effect. And further, we said a lot of different kinds of herb needed to do the further processing. So the processing purpose about the decrease the toxicity or increasing that the efficacy or increase that the solubility because more compound extract from the herb. So maybe can increase some efficacy and do the how to storage and even that safely to movement that the and remove that impurities from the by the processing way. So it's still a little bit hard. So we use that the scientific way. So we use the colorimetric the value which detect each kinds of the herb because after processing, the time or the material may change with the color, change with the function. So the first, because 1,000 years ago, the people maybe just can trust their eyes to check is that already done or not yet. So we use that the colorize to check that the different kinds of processing time and way to let us more understand how or when is that means that the drug already done, finish all the processing steps. And the further, we wanted to check the content of the compound. For example, for the ultraviolet, we know it's really famous herbal medicine in TCM, but we know it's kinds of the compound, one compound extract alone. So it shown a little bit the toxicity with the cancer cells. But just as we know, processing may reduce that the toxicity and increasing the efficacy. So we can firstly check that the content. So we know that after heating, extract alone will be the structure will be changed to the ultraviolet light 2 and 3. So we can find that from the HPLC fingerprint. So in the beginning, the ultraviolet shown very huge amount, and after heated, so the amount just decrease, and the ultraviolet light 2 and 3 increase. And we can see that the data, these two compounds show no toxicity in the this kind of cell line. So we just use that the content and the efficacy to check with the processing time and the compound content. And further, we can use some kinds of the antioxidant effect to check the different kinds of processing samples. And so maybe we can understand why we need to do the process. And just previously mentioned, so the toxicity compound decrease and efficacy compound increase. So we know that these kinds of the herbs is good for the stomach. So we use that the primary culture of the gastric mucosa cells. So we find that this compound shown toxicity and these two compounds without any toxicity. And we also can use that the animal experiment to check, is that really good for the protection about the gastric mucosa damage? So we treated with the 90% alcohol to the animal. And after 4 hours, we sacrifice the rat and collect that the stomach so we can easily check that the control groups show very serious, severe damage about the stomach. But if we treated atratilolyl rhizoma extract, and it's shown dose dependence to protect that the alcohol damage. So we use these kinds of the strategy way to introduce about why the herbal medicine needed to do the processing according to the color, according to the content, and according to the cell culture levels, chemical bioactivity, or even use that at animal experiment. So next time when you need to drink some alcohol, so maybe you can take some herbal medicine. Okay, the next part is wanted to introduce about the formula. So as we know, 四物汤 is a very famous formula in TCM. So it's a 4 herbs, really good for the blood circulation. So it contains 4 herbals. So from the Dangui, Angelica sinensis, and Chanchong, and the Shou Di Huang and the Shao Yao. So these 4 different kinds of the herb in the herb PCM theory. So it's good for the blood, but a little bit difference for the blood. So we can use this table to explain. So these 3 of the drugs can tonify with the blood, and Angelica sinensis and Chanchong may present more strong, activate blood systems. And the 4 of these drugs use that the ratio equal for each 4 drugs. But in the TCM theory, we still think that why we needed to put these 4 herbal together is that all good for the blood circulation, but how or why we needed to put them, and how can we use them? So we wanted to identify and understand what each of the role shown in the herbal medicine in this formula. Okay, so the first, we do the clinical trial. We wanted to check, is that really good for the patient? So we use that the Suvutang extract to treat it with the development related the menstrual disorder. The meaning is we treated with the patient for 3 months with the Suvutang, and we can find out. So even though the water decoction and the concentrate extract about the 四物汤, after 3 months treated, the content of the FSH, estradiol, progesterone, and the testosterone, and the ratio between the LH and the FSH, all of this data can be turned back to the normal the level. So the meaning is we really trust 四物汤 decoction can treat it, can good for the health. And how about the content for each of the herbs? So we use that the minus herbal in this formula. Just previously we mentioned 4 of each of the herbs with the equal ratio. So we reduce that the for example, we reduce that the Dangui or reduce that the Shao Yao. So when we reduce that the Shao Yao most, they reduce that the total polyphenol content. So that's the meaning is Shao Yao contain more polyphenol, and the Shou Di Huang show more polysaccharide content. The meaning is each of the herb content show the different characteristic about the compound, the content in the herbs. And we use that the cell culture efficacy to understand if that really works. So we use that aroma test. So we wanted to reduce the testosterone content. We use that the testosterone, and we treat it with the different kinds of the herb and check that the estradiol content. So the meaning is 熟地黄 present the strong efficacy to reduce the testosterone content, increase that the estradiol content. So the meaning is for this 四物汤 decoction, 熟地黄 and its active component catechol shown the very good efficacy with the aromatase effect. And the further, we know that when the patient get that sick, so maybe with some oxidative stress, so we use that the antioxidant efficacy to treat it with the different kinds of herbal medicine formula. So that shown if we reduce that the 芍药 or we treat it with the 芍药 and its content active component, it present the best antioxidant effect. So that is the reason why we need to put the different kinds of herbal together so they can show different kinds of the efficacy in this formula and treat it with the one disease. And we still need to understand what is the major rule about the Angelica sinensis, because most probably we think about maybe Dangui, Angelica sinensis is the major drugs come in these kinds of the formula. The meaning is it's still a lot of experiment we needed to practice, we needed to do. So turn to the next steps. Just previously we mentioned for the efficacy, for the efficacy, and now we wanted to use another side, another way to explain that. So for the pharmacokinetics about the herbal medicine. So we can use that the single drugs, a formula, and even try to do the herbal drug interaction. And justly, the first we mentioned a lot of different kinds of the treated strategy about the TCM. So we compared the acupuncture and herbal drugs. We wanted to use the PK value parameter to check if that shown the different kinds of the interaction together. So the firstly, we use that the single herb as the rulebook, 大黄. So we use that the major component, the RAN, the active component as 11.9 milligram per kilogram, and use that the rhubarb extract 5.2 gram per kilogram, and the 三黄泻心汤, and use a formula shown that the same content about the RAN. So we use that the PK parameter to detect the RAN concentration. So after that, we think that herbal extract formula still shown higher bioavailability, the absorption rate than the single or the herbal medicine. And further, we use these kinds of the system. For example, if the crinoline is one compound and the crinoline can interact with the berberine. So if we just put these two compounds together, so maybe the pharmacokinetics will be influenced. That is shown the drug-drug interaction as the Western medicine shown. But it's really interesting. So when we take that the formula, but we still can figure out it's no significant change or significant difference between the content in the, if we take that the formula together, the meaning is in these kinds of the formula, maybe some other kinds of the ingredient show different kinds of the way interact with the enzyme or cytochrome P450 systems or something like that. So some compound increasing the efficacy, or some compound reduce or inhibit that the efficacy. So taken together, there show no significant difference between one compound or take that the herbal medicine. And even though we can use that the Western medicine compare with the herbal medicine. So for example, we can let the rat treated with 加味逍遥散 for 7 days. And after that, we inject the infusion, the paclitaxel. And we can easily find that if we pre-treat it for 7 days, 加味逍遥散 may reduce the blood plasma concentration about the paclitaxel. But at the same time, we check that the PK information in the lymphocytes, but no significant change in the lymphocyte. So that still gives us some information, because paclitaxel may show some side effect, but take with the herbal medicine 加味逍遥散 can reduce that the blood plasma concentration, but no significant difference between the lymphoid concentration, means that the anti-cancer efficacy may not be decreased, but can reduce some side effect from the circulation systems. And we can use that the 龙胆泻肝汤 compared to the lavimudin, and we can use that the liver tissue to check that if some protein or some gene will be reduced or enhanced from the herbal medicine. Even though we can treat it with the aspirin as a stroke patient and combine with the 补阳还五汤, a very famous formula treated with combined to recure the stroke. And so we can find this kind of the compound is very fast to reduce in the plasma. So detect that aspirin is really hard, but we can easily detect that the blood content with the active component salicylic acid. And even though we can check that the bleeding time, we can combine the PK and the PD information to discuss about the herbal drug interaction. And we can use that the tissue or use that the enzyme to do the ex vivo experiment. We use that the human liver microsome, as because most often if we just treat it with the animal, most of the scientific X, okay, it's really different species if that still shown the same information. So we use that the cell culture from the human. We use that human liver microsome and compare to the animal tissue experiment. We just wanted to share that information. If we use some kinds of the animal experiment, can refer to the human body. And that is the previously we mentioned, the acupuncture compared with the herbal medicine. So that is the, oh no, not is just herbal medicine, it's that just close to the aspirin. So acupuncture may reduce or influence between the aspirin, we say maybe a little bit. But we can check that in the brain or the blood fluid. So combined with the acupuncture may increase that the blood flow in the brain. So after this kinds of the information, I hope most of the can feel a little bit confidence about the TCM, the herbal medicine, because we can use that the smart manufacturing to produce that the good quality TCM product, use that the quality control to check that the content in each kind of the herbal medicine or the formula, use that the efficacy to confirm that the efficacy, and that is the product we feel more can reach the target. So next steps, we wanted to introduce about the herbal medicine, that these kinds of the formula. So that is the MRICN 101. As we know, the COVID is the whole world already suffered from COVID for more than 2 to 3 years. And in Taiwan and TCM, so maybe that kinds of the reason in Taiwan is not so severe symptom or the mortality than the whole world. So I wanted to share with the experience from us, from the bedside to the bench, and even though from bench to bedside. Okay, so that is the data just in the June for this year. Every day, still a lot of people just get that the COVID, and still a lot of the people dead from the COVID. So in the very first beginning, the Taiwan MRICM, the National Research Institute of Chinese Medicine, they work together with the hospital, because we get that some patient and check with the symptoms. So they produce kinds of the formula and treat it with the patient. So this formula contain 10 different kinds of the herbal medicine, just as the slide showed with the 10 different kinds of herb. They present the different kinds of the function in the TCM theory. Some can relieve that the fever, that make the throat more comfortable, and so increasing that the Qi, enhance that the immune systems, and so on. So these kinds of the herbs were extract from the hot water, and that is the picture as the different kinds of the compound, the herbal medicine. And they after 1 year's preparation, so the MRICM team prepared a kinds of the paper to introduce and to show the whole world how the MRICM 101 really works, and give us a lot of the evidence to show that. Because first, we just from the patient, because we treated it to the patient and get a very good response, and let the good manufacturing company to produce the very good quality about the MRICM 101. So that is the from the bedside to the bench. So we find some efficacy from the patient, and after good manufacturing produce the product, and we use these kinds of the product to do the further research, because we wanted to explain why this herbal medicine works a little bit similar, like because TCM already used for more than thousands years, but we still wanted to understand why it really works. And so this is the strategy because the virus infect the different kind, shown different kinds of the process. So that it means that the disease with the first infection and the virus will be infected into the host cell according to the spike protein and ACE2 enzyme. And the virus get into the cell will be do the replication. And after secrete the cytokine may cause that the cytokine storm. So that is the severe inflammatory effect and cause the cell death. Okay, so even though the drug development just focus on the spike protein and the ACE2, so in the so we wanted to try to explain is that the MRICM101 can binding with the code or to reduce that the virus binding with the host cell, use that there's glycoprotein, or helps the host cell to protect. So in the different kinds of the data show a lot of evidence, means that the herbal medicine really works, can interact binding with the proteins. And that is the reason why MRICM101 show these kinds of the efficacy, and it can reduce that the replication way. So the first thing is the herbal medicine can reduce the virus get into the cell, and the second steps can reduce that the replication rate, so can reduce that the severe infect about the virus. And the herbal medicine can reduce that the cytokine storm. It reduces that the interleukin-6 and the TNF alpha. So that means that can reduce that the severe fever or inflammation, and reduce that the side effect about the COVID-19, and can produce that the host cell death. So that is the reason why, because for the one drug or so if we just inject with these kinds of the vaccine, so they just check with the spike protein, and but if when the virus mutant, how can it do? But the herbal medicine, we can, even though locked not only the spike protein, but we still can inhibit that the host cell SE2 enzyme. So even though the virus change to their different form, the TCM still can catch that the thief, the virus. And if that the thief want to get into the door, so the herbal medicine still can works. So that is the reason why the herbal medicine, MRICM101, can really works, can prevent that the infection. So maybe we shown that some protection effect can really prevent that the replication. So the cure, the symptoms will be faster than not treated with the MRICM101, and can relieve that the fever and the anti-inflammatory. So it can make the patient feel more comfortable and get well faster. So that is a lot of the paper to show these kinds of the information to discuss about the antioxidant stress, anti-inflammatory. So give us more confidence to think about that. So now in Taiwan already with more than 12 or 13 company can produce these kinds of the herbal medicine and can already sell to the overseas to the whole world. We hope that maybe herbal medicine still can helps the whole world to fight with the COVID. And the last part, we wanted to mention the new generation of the Chinese medicine research. Just previously, we said we can use that the herbal content with the efficacy, but TCM is still really comprehensive. As we know, even though when herbals contain more than 100 different kinds of compounds. If that we taken a few formula, even though take 10 drugs together, so maybe we have the more than thousands compounds. So if we still can do each by each compound to do the experiment, or we needed to more kinds of the strategy to do that. So that the QSP, the quantitative analysis systems, the pharmacology may give some solution. So this kind of the ideal is because now a lot of the big data, a lot of the reference already have. So if we can use these kinds of the software, the database can reduce a lot of time and to do the research. So these kinds of the network systems can help us to do the small molecular design or biochemistry drug target, each kind of the omics data. And even though we can put the PK data, clinical data to do these kinds of the research. And in the manufacturing way, a lot of a big company already just to establish different kinds of the software and to help them to get faster to develop new drugs. So in TCM, maybe we still can use these kinds of a similar strategy to do the discovery about the herbal medicine. So these kinds of systems can help us to understand the ADME or the patent of the different kinds of the disease. So a lot of paper just mentioned that. So if we put a lot of different kinds of herbal medicine together, and we know that the content about the chemical structure, and we can put that into the database. The database will give us a numerous different kinds of the pathway, the network correlated to each other. And maybe can give us some information about suggestion why this compound interact to each other and work together. So herbal medicine is not only just one compound to one target, multiple compound to the multiple target. So maybe we can use these kinds of the way. So the ADME, we can check the different kinds of the information and check the database to figure out the target and understand the different kinds of the compound content and give us things like this, the protein network or the target or the pathway, and even though give us some kinds of the suggestion way to introduce about the why these kinds of the multiple compounds do interact with our body. So we hope that after today's presentation or after the researcher try hard to do a lot of different kinds of experiments. We hope that maybe the herbal, what? Where is the trust? We hope that herbal medicine, after different kinds of the experiment, we can give us the trust, confidence, and the modernization. So next time when we talk about the TCM, not kind of the troublemaker, not just to talk about some story. We hope that it really works and can let more people to reliable and understand these kinds of the herbal medicine, because they still already have more than thousands years using history. Okay, thanks for your attention.
Okay. Thank you for Mrs. Dr. Chia Jung from Taipei Medical University, Taiwan, for the great explanation. So for all the participants, if you have a question about the explanation from Dr. Chia Jung, you can write down in the chat box in Zoom. And because Dr. Chia Jung have another agenda, we will answer the question via email. So before we moving forward to the next session, I will read the curriculum vitae from Mrs. Dr. Chia Jung from Taipei Medical University of Taiwan. Okay, so Mrs. Dr. Chia Jung, she is Associate Professor, PhD program in Clinical Drug Development of Herbal Medicine, College of Pharmacy, Taipei Medical University. So here are the email from Mrs. Chia Jung and her career summary. She is experienced professional with about 15 years of exploring the pharmacological effect of natural products, performing quality control of traditional Chinese medicines, or called TCM, and developing the health and functional foods. About 10 years experience of performing the pharmacokinetic study of TCM by microdialysis and HPLC MS technology. Her education are Doctor of Science from School of Pharmacy, Taipei Medical University in July 2011. And then Master of Science, Graduate Institute of Pharmacognosy, Taipei Medical University in July 2005. And Bachelor of Science from School of Pharmacy, Taipei Medical University in July 2003. Her experiences as Associate Professor in Taipei Medical University from 2021 until present, and then as Assistant Professor in Taipei Medical University from 2015 until 2021. And then there are also a lot of skills in clinical pharmacy, such as pharmacokinetic analysis of traditional Chinese medicine by microdialysis technology and HPLC MS analysis, and so on. Yeah, so many skills and the honors and activities from Mrs. Chia Jung. First is scholarship in Taipei Chongqi Educational Foundation, and then research award in Professor Yuan's Foundation, and as a best research award in Pharmaceutical Society of Taiwan. And she is also the editor of book, reference book for the interaction on food, medicinal herb, and Western medicine. Mrs. Dr. Chia Jung also have a lot of journal publications in clinical herbal medicine, yeah, We can read a lot of journal publications such as pharmacokinetic herbal drug interaction of its influence on enzyme kinetic in human, and so on. Okay, we will move forward to the next session. Next, we will have video profile from TIHTC. So, ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned to watch the video profile from TIHTC.
Hello everyone, this is Dr. Harsh from India. Last year I joined Taiwan International Healthcare Training Center's Dermatopathology Training Program. Wanna see how my life is like in Taiwan? Let's get going. This is our training lab. Let's go. Hello.
Good morning.
My clinical training consists of routine sign-outs, weekly review of typical and atypical cases on Wednesdays, clinico-pathological conferences on every Thursday, immunofluorescence and electron microscopy reporting, learning from archived slides and cases, and monthly self-assessment and topic tests. Dr. Wu is a great mentor and great teacher. If you have interest in dermatopathology, I would definitely recommend this program.
The level of medical service in Taiwan I think it's outstanding. It's very amazing. We also have many medical centers and provide advanced medical care. For the students or the scholars, we have a very good subspecialty training or specialty trainings. For the training of dermatopathology, this is a very subspecialty. Not many training centers can do this job. There is an international committee for dermatopathology. They will accredit the training center in the world. There's only 2 sites in Asia. The site in Taipei, our program, is the first accredited program for this ICDP. This is also a major site of Asian Society of Dermatopathology. And I'm the current president of ASD. We will provide many teaching resources. So if you come to our programs, hope that can help in your future career. Those are from the same cells. It's lunchtime. Lunch. Good break.
I love Taiwanese food so much. Taiwan breakfast restaurants are pretty common and they would be open from early morning till afternoon. I got my choy open. Yay! TIHTC is just like my family in Taiwan. We always have fun and celebrate all the special days together. We make rice dumplings during the Dragon Boat Festival. We twerk and dance at the year-end party. We celebrate the Christmas and open the gifts together. We have birthday parties every now and then. Everyone stay safe, stay happy and stay healthy. Thanks to TIHTC, I have experienced almost every aspect of the Taiwanese culture. I would really like to thank TIHTC for giving me such an indelible training experience. Not only do they have a wonderful dorm room which makes me feel at home, but they also help me find the best hospital for my clinical training. Everything I've learned during my training would be conducive to the reinforcement of my profession.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
on your learning in Taiwan.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I love Taiwan. I love TIHTC. Your first choice of clinical training platform.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, to save our time, we will move forward to the next presenter from Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, Associate Professor Dr. Malina Jasamai. Before we learn the explanation from her, I will read the curriculum vitae from Associate Professor Dr. Malina Jasamai, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. So, Mrs. Malina Jasamai from Faculty of Pharmacy, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, Jalan Raja Muda Abdul Aziz, Kuala Lumpur. Here is the email from her and her personal detail. Her current position is Deputy Director Quality Management System, and her professional qualification and education, the first from Cardiff University as Doctor of Philosophy in 2006. The major is medicinal chemistry, drug design, and synthesis. And her thesis is the synthesis of novel 6-azapyrimidine nucleoside analogs. In 1998, she studied in Cardiff University, United Kingdom, in Bachelor of Pharmacy, and then her active research grants and project, the first in 2019, a research grant from the Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia as a project leader, and then in 2018, a research grant from MCM Greenman Group, program pembangunan kampung stay untuk memperkasa sosioekonomi orang asli temuan as a co-researcher, and then a research grant from the Ministry of Higher Education, synthesis of porphyrin cornigerine conjugate as anti-cancer agent as co-researcher, and then in 2020, a research grant from the Medical Research Institute, Pembangunan Monograph Herbal Malaysia as co-researcher. And then in the same years, a research grant from IOI Properties Group, the effectiveness of environmental sustainability-based social entrepreneurship training modules among Hulu Langat community and UKM pharmacy students. And the publication, she's also have a lot of publication in these years. She also published the microplastic in domestic and personal care products, impacts on aquatic life and rodents with potential alternatives. And then the next is about knockdown of annexin A1 induced apoptosis in human leukemia cell lines. And then the third one in these years, she also published the drug herb interaction selected antihypertensive drugs with Moringa oleifera leaves extract. And in 2020 and so on, so many publications that already made by Associate Professor Dr. Malina Jasamai from Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. So to save our time, we will let her to start the presentation. So for Associate Professor Dr. Malina Jasamai, the stage is yours.
Okay. Okay. So I lost my voice actually. Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good morning to all. Thank you very much for the kind introduction to Miss Moderator. Okay, so I would like to wish a happy 24th anniversary to Universitas Muhammadiyah Kudus. Okay, I will share the screen. Okay, so this is the overview of my talk today. I'm going to start with the introduction, and then drug discovery and development, and then clinical trials, and then the process, and also a success stories of where herbal medicine have been approved as a botanical drug. Okay, if we look at the definition by WHO defined herbal medicine as finished labeled medicinal product that contain an active ingredient, aerial or underground parts of the plant or other plant materials in combinations. And about 80% of the world population depends on herbal medicines for their primary care needs. And around the world, there are about 50 countries that have their own national policies and laws to regulate the use of herbal medicines. Okay, why do we need to perform a clinical trial on herbal medicines? It is because herbal medicines have become an important part of the healthcare system. It has been used widely, and therefore a clinical trial is needed. So when we conduct a clinical trial on herbal medicines, we can prove their efficacy. And this is also for the herbal medicine to survive in the international market alongside with modern medicines. Because without clinical trial, herbal medicines cannot compete with modern medicines. Because modern, as we know, when we develop modern medicines, it will undergo a series of clinical trials. Okay, if we look at this diagram, herbal medicines can be prepared into a few preparations. One is to use it in its natural form as traditional medicines. And secondly, to prepare in a formulation as herbal preparations. And then later, functional foods as nutraceuticals. And lastly, as when we extract or isolate the bioactive phytocompounds, and we develop, derivatize those phytocompounds to develop as drugs. But in the terms of, we will look later in the definition of herbal medicines as drugs, functional foods, nutraceuticals, and also bioactive compounds that don't really fall into that definition. So this is an example where herbal medicines were looked into for COVID. Okay, so biological activities were they did studies on the biological activities. So we try to understand the mechanism of action. I'm so sorry. I lost my voice yesterday, actually. And when we have the established clinical data, then we can register the herbal medicine as botanical drugs. Okay, this is a normal process of drug development. So basically, we have a preclinical we have basic research. It started with basic research, and then early discovery when we look at the target, and also preclinical studies. And this will involve in vitro and in vivo testing. And then it can go into clinical development, where we have phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 clinical development. Clinical development will involve human testing. And then it will be reviewed by FDA, and then it can be marketed. So for herbal medicines, basically the regulatory for herbal medicines is similar to modern medicines. So it still involves preclinical studies, in vitro and in vivo. And preclinical studies basically are carried out to establish the dosing and also the toxicity of the herbal products. Okay, WHO came up with this guideline. So we can look at this guideline to evaluate the safety and also efficacy of herbal medicines. And in that guideline, basically to conduct a clinical trial, the objective is to validate the safety and efficacy of the herbal medicines. And we developed the clinical trial also to develop new herbal medicines, examine new indication, change the formulation or change the route of administration. And in some cases, the clinical trials are carried out to test the clinical activities of purified or semi-purified compounds from the herbal medicines. And as I said earlier, the phases of the trials is similar to the modern medicine, so it still involves the 4 phases of clinical trials. So phase 1 basically is carried out on healthy volunteers because we want to establish safety and dosage of the herbal medicines. Phase 2, sometimes the population, the number is bigger, and we use subjects with the disease of the condition. And in phase 2 clinical trial, basically we want to establish efficacy and also side effects of the herbal medicines. And then phase 3, so we have a larger population now where we give the herbal medicine to. And in phase 3, basically, we want to see the efficacy and also monitor the adverse reaction. And basically, after phase 3 clinical trial, the herbal medicine can be marketed already. Okay, and phase 4, and this will involve a larger population, and we want to establish the safety and efficacy. Okay, what are the process of preparing those herbal medicines before we can perform the clinical trials? So we start with the raw materials. So WHO has this guideline, Good Agricultural and Collection Practices, GACP. So in this guideline, it detailed out what need to be done when we procure the raw materials of the herbal medicines. So you can look here. It detail out starting from the identification of the herbal medicine, collecting of the herbal medicine, what need to be done, storage, equipment that we use. Okay. Okay, for the quality control of herbal medicine, we use certain standards available. So basically we use pharmacopoeias, monographs, and handbooks, and we use certain analytical methods to check the validity, precision, accuracy, and robustness of these analytical methods. And the techniques usually used is HPLC, GC, mass spec. Okay, these are some safety requirements required, usually for acute disease. Some regulatory bodies will require preclinical data and also clinical data. For chronic diseases, they might not require preclinical data or clinical data. And lastly, for health condition like supplement, they might not require preclinical data or clinical data. So it depends on the national regulatory body of that particular country. Okay, how can we get an approval for herbal clinical trials conducted on herbal medicines? Usually, the regulatory body will give the approval only when they are satisfied on the data provided, the safety and efficacy of the herbal medicine, the necessity of the trial, the study protocol, and also the capability of the investors or the sponsors who is conducting the trial. Okay, for Malaysia, we have this guideline on natural products with therapeutic claim. This came into effect in 2019, and in this guideline, it detailed out what need to be done if we want to register a particular herbal medicines for therapeutic claim. And so far in Malaysia, we don't have any herbal medicines that are registered with a therapeutic claim. Okay, these are some clinical trials conducted on herbal medicines. They conducted on irritable bowel syndrome. Garlic was clinical trial on garlic for hypercholesterolemia and others. And I think Prof Lee also did mention on clinical trials that she conducted in her lab earlier in the first lecture. Okay, what are the challenges when we want to develop herbal medicines to drugs? Basically, we want to ensure the sustainability of the plant species, because when a particular plant has been identified to be developed as a herbal product, we need to make sure that those plants will be still available in the next 10 years, 20 years time. And product standardization, this is also difficult to achieve because, as we know, herbal medicines contain many active compounds, and most of the time, those active compounds basically work synergistically with one another. It means that if you isolate just one particular compound and then try to you might not get the similar activity anymore. And it's quite difficult to design the study of the clinical trial itself because of the nature of the herbal products. And then we also have regulatory requirements for herbal products. And some herbal products might have different diagnostic criteria compared to modern medicines. So to identify the correct diagnostic criteria also will be a challenge when we conduct clinical trials for herbal medicines. And when we conduct the trial, double-blind clinical trial is quite difficult to achieve because in double-blind clinical trial, both parties, the investigator and the subjects, won't know which one is receiving, which group will receive the herbal medicines and which group will receive the placebo. Because usually in the practice of when we use herbal medicines, there are certain criteria that or counseling that need to be given by the practitioners. So this is quite difficult to achieve. And it's also difficult to find a control in a clinical trial because it's not like in modern medicines where it is a clear cut where we can choose a control for the clinical trial. Okay, a little bit about a requirement by FDA. FDA basically, the Food and Drug Authority in the US, defines a botanical drug as a botanical drug intended for use in the diagnosis, cure, mitigation, treatment, or prevention of diseases in humans. So basically, it consists of vegetable materials, which may be plant materials, algae, macroscopic fungi, or combinations thereof. And it may be available as, but not limited to, a solution, for example, tea, powder, tablet, capsule, elixir, topical, or injection. Often have a unique features, for example, complex mixtures, lack of a distinctive active ingredient, and also substantial prior to human use. And fermentation products and highly purified or chemically modified botanical substances are not considered as botanical drug products. So anything that has been isolated, FDA does not categorize that as botanical products. Okay, FDA has this guidance for industry to develop botanical drug. Okay, so these are among the content of this guide. Basically, it's quite similar to the guideline tabled by WHO. Okay, these are up until now, these are the two botanical products that have been approved by FDA as drug. Okay, first is the extract from green tea, and it is used as a treatment, topical treatment for warts, genital warts. And the second one is the extract from this plant, a blood dragon plant, and it is used as antidiarrheal for HIV patients. So up until now, only these two are available in the market, which has been approved by FDA. Maybe in other countries, there are other botanical drugs that has been approved, but the ones that have been approved by FDA are only these two. Okay, a little bit about my research interests. Currently, I'm working on moringa leaves extract, and we are looking at the antihypertensive effects on the leaf extracts. And we try to establish the mechanism of action and also try to look at the drug-herb interactions between the moringa leaf extracts with modern medicines, antihypertensive agents. I think this is my last slide. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Associate Professor Dr. Malina Jasamai for the great explanation. Now, for the participant, if you have a question about the explanation from Dr. Malina Jasamai, you can write down in the chat box or directly ask by raise your hand. Okay, so Dr. Malina Jasamai already explained about the raw material and how to keep the quality control of the raw material in traditional herbal medicine based on her expertise in herbal medicine. Yeah. Okay, maybe for the participant, if you have questions from the explanation of Dr. Malina Jasamai, you can write down in the chat box or directly ask by raise your hand, maybe. Okay. Okay, we have one question in chat box. Mrs. Malina Jasamai, I will read the question from Vanda Mariza. How to consume safely herbal medicines in order to get the maximum effect?
I think the first thing that we need to look at is the approval for the herbal medicines. And I understand in Indonesia, Badan POM is the regulatory body which is responsible to register for the registration of herbal medicines, right? So first thing that you need to look at whether the product is registered or not. So if the product is registered, look at the dosage. Don't exceed the dosage, because as the same as modern medicines, if you exceed the dosage also, you will get side effects or toxicity. So those are the two things I think you need to look at.
Okay, so the first thing we have to concern is the registration number, yeah, from the authorized legal, yeah. Maybe in Indonesia is Badan POM, yeah. We can check the registration number of the herbal medicine. Okay, another question maybe from other participants. Okay, we have a question from Mr. Anwari, yeah. How to consume herbal medicine with mixed chemical drugs?
Okay, there are not many studies looking at the interactions between herbal medicines and chemical drugs, especially herbal medicines in Southeast Asia. I think in the West, they have this book, monograph, looking at herbal interactions with Western herbs with modern medicines. But here in Asia, we are lack of that. I think if you look at the book is by Stockley. He's the guy, I mean, he published a book on drug-drug interaction also. So if you look at the book on drug-herb interaction published by him, I think only 1 or 2 herbal medicines from Asia are available there. So we don't really know what is going on when we take herbal medicines together with drugs. So it is advisable not to mix them together. If you want to use modern medicines, just use modern medicines. If you want to use herbal preparations, just use the herbal preparations. Or you can discuss this with your pharmacists or doctors, I guess. They might have some information on the drugs that you are taking and also the herbal medicines that you are taking. But the best thing is not to take them together.
Okay, so yeah, that's the well-known book, yeah, Stockley Drug Interaction. Yeah, so the herbal medicine that state in that book is less, yeah, for the Asian herbal medicine. So
yeah. I think only 2 or 3 herbal medicines. Yeah, we don't
data
have.
is most of them is from the Europe, yeah, Europe plants. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the explanation, Mrs. Malina Jasamai. Okay. Maybe another question or. Okay, we have another question, Dr. Malina Jasamai. Wah, so much attention, yeah, from your great explanation. So this is the question from Mrs. Islami. She asks, is any different side effect between modern medicines and herbal medicine to hypertensive patient? So this is according to your research, maybe.
Okay, I can only answer regarding to moringa because we did work on moringa. When we look at moringa when we studied moringa, we studied in vivo in hypertensive rats. We noticed that when we give moringa to hypertensive rats, it will lower down the blood pressure. When we give it to normal rats, non-hypertensive rats, it didn't lower down the blood pressure. And when we give it together with the drugs, they don't have this additive effect. When the modern the antihypertensive drugs were given together with moringa in our study. So I'm not quite sure whether they would have a similar side effect or different side effects. But in general, I think most herbal products will be metabolized by the liver and also the kidney. And if it has side effects, those side effects will be experienced by liver and kidney, resulting in liver failure or kidney failure in some patients.
Okay, yeah, yes. Maybe it is our chance, yeah, from Asia to explore more, exploring about our traditional herbal medicine, yeah.
Yeah, very true.
Maybe one day we can collaborate to make research, yeah, for for exploring our herbal plants, yeah, from Indonesia or from Malaysia. Okay, Mrs. Dr. Malina Jasamai, maybe you can give us a closing statement about your topic today.
Okay, I think the closing statement is we have to make use of, because both Indonesia and Malaysia, we have a lot of plants available, but they are not being studied fully. I think in Indonesia, maybe some plants, they studied more about those plants because some are being prepared as jamu, as mentioned by your rector earlier. But in Malaysia, we didn't reach to the clinical part yet. So I think that's something that we can work on to market our natural products or herbal medicines.
Okay. So the research for the clinical test, yeah, it is the most challenging research, yeah, so far. Okay, thank you so much for Associate Professor Dr. Malina Jasamai from Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Thank you so much for your great explanation for us today, and get well recovery soon for you.
Thank you for the invitation.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, we will moving forward to the next presenter. So for the next presenter, we have Mrs. Apoteker Eko Retnowati, Master of Pharmacy from Universiti Muhammadiyah Kudus. Before we have the presentation from her, I will read her curriculum vitae. Okay, so Mrs. Apoteker Eko Retnowati, Master of Pharmacy. She is born in Pati, 18 October 1975. Currently, she lives in Pati, Jalan RAA Suwondo, Wadari Jaksa. And here is her email, yeah, if you want to correspondence with her. And her education in 1996 until 2000, she studied S.Si Farmasi, Bachelor of Pharmacy in Universitas Surabaya, and then following by study apoteker in UGM Yogyakarta, and then she studied magister in MSDM di Paris, Semarang, and then she studied again in clinical pharmacy in Universitas Ahmad Dahlan, Yogyakarta. Mrs. Eko Retnowati also have a lot of publication. The currently publication in 2022 is pengembangan produk daur ulang limbah organik ekoenzim menjadi sabun padat antiseptik. And then still in the same years, she also have a publication research uji efektivitas sediaan krim getah pohon Kamboja merah, Plumeria rubra terhadap luka akibat sayatan pada tikus jantan putih Winstar hyperglycemia. And then in the same years, In the same year, she also have a research publication about uji aktivitas antioksidan ekstrak etanol 96% Solanum melongena L dan kulit buah naga merah Hylocereus polyrhizus dengan metode pH. And so many publications that Mrs. Eko Ratnawati already have. Okay, to save our time, maybe we can see the presentation from the Mrs. Apoteker Eko Retnowati, Master of Pharmacy, University of Muhammadiyah, Kudus. So for Mrs. Eko Retnowati, the stage is yours. Mrs. Retno already joined. Okay.
Sorry, my signal is not stable.
Yeah, your voice is already clear.
Okay. I can start right now.
Yeah, you can share your PowerPoint.
I'm sorry, because my signal is not stable. Okay, thank you for moderator who has given me to transfer my material today. So before I'm talking a lot of discussion, for the first time I would like to introduce myself again. My name is Eko Ratnawati and I'm a lecturer at University of Muhammadiyah Kudus. So right now I'm glad today as I'm able to attend in this international forum. Well, to save this invaluable time, let me start my presentation. With title is Local Vision of Indonesian Herbal for Wound Healing. So I did my outline for a preliminary definition of classification of wound. So and then process and classification of wound healing, and then herbal for wound healing. So the next conclusion and reference, yeah. So for the first, my presentation is about definition. For one are the loss or damage to a part of body tissue. For just a minute. Caused by sharp on or blood trauma, temperature change, chemical explosion, electric shocks, or animal bites. For another definition, one is a disruption of the normal integrity of the skin and underlying tissue that occurs suddenly or intentionally lost or open, clean or contaminated, superficial or deep. So wound healing is a series of complex events that are interrelated and depend on one another. Wound healing can be accelerated using traditional medicine. Next, my presentations about classification of wound. Nah, for this classification is measuring again wounds. As for two classification, intentionally traumatic and then unintentionally traumatic. So the next classification about wound integrity as closed wound and open wound. So and then mechanism wound classification as bruises wound, incision wound, and the next is abrasion wounds. So wound healing is one of the efforts to overcome health problems that have been passed down from generation to generation. The use of traditional plant in Indonesia is a part of national culture and has been widely used by people centuries ago. So, my next presentation is about wound healing process. Wound healing process. Oh, I'm sorry. Wound healing process classification as inflammation pass, proliferation pass, and maturation pass. So this process produces scar tissue that can be repaired in a relatively short time. And various factors that can affect the wound healing process make research around the world trying to find ingredient or drug formulas that can help speed up the wound healing process about so inflammation pass, proliferation pass, and the maturation pass. Can be inflammation pass about cut blood vessel, so and then cause bleeding and the body tries to stop it, and about to occur fibroblast proliferation, and then for the reabsorption excess body tissue, so and then rebuilding new body tissue, and then that usually occur, that's maturation for 3 to 6 months. So next about classification of wound healing, classes of primary healing and then secondary healing. So wound care is first performed cleaning the wound as much as possible so as to reduce contamination of the wound and prevent infection. For all wound healing, the example, abrasion and scar can be cleaned immediately with running water, so and then warm water and antiseptic fluid. Meanwhile, step 1 and pit wounds needs to be cleaned more optimally to remove toxin or microbes that might be present in the wound. Then the part that is bleeding is covered with sterile gauze or a clean cloth to stop the bleeding before further wound care. So for the primary healing, focus the wound is attempted to be connected, usually with the help of stitches. And then for the secondary healing, focus on wound healing without outside head. And then so subsequent treatment of the wound is using wound dressings in the form of medically textile made for fiber, thread, cloth, composite product with usually sterilized before use. And then for the first, everyone was treated so that it drains quickly, including ones that released cell fluid for wet skin. And then immediately wrap it with gauze. So after the one is drained, the gauze is usually stick so that the tissue grows more slowly and allow infection in the wound. So the technique currently being developed is known as moist wound healing or moist wound care. By keeping the wound moist, the gusset doesn't stick to the wound. And my presentation next wound healing with herbal medicine. Both the traditionally, certainly ethnic communities in Indonesia have their own ingredients and ways to treat wounds. So for an example, Japanese ethnic, this ethnic use papaya seed as a wound medicine. The papaya in this question, small papaya tips that grow in the Jiang Plateau. The seeds are roasted, grounded, added with coconut oil, then wrapped on the wound. So this example again for Sundanese ethnic communities, including the Badui tribe, use a mixture of babadot leaf and jambang pait leaf to treat bleeding in wounds. And addition honje rhizome is used to treat snake bite wounds and water bola to treat burn. So about the Minahasa ethnic, treat wounds or ulcer with egg bark. And leaf of chicken grass. Maybe call it into bahasa is chicken root. Yeah. Okay. So in the research conducted by students about formulation and effectiveness testing of gel with variation of concentration of binahong leaf extract and Rhydra cordifolia on burns for burns wound in white male rats. Maybe I can show all of you about result about preparation gel. Extract binahong leaf contain extract aloe vera, so and then extract herbal patah tulang. So in this research just for variation of concentration of binahong at 10 20 and 16%. So the result extraction, the yield value was 20 for random, and so this is a pattern for standardization of the Indonesian Herbal Pharmacopoeia 2 edition, and for organoleptic testing characteristic, we can get a result for color is deep green, so form is thick, and smell is typically of binahong leaf. So and then result for the phytochemical screening, we get result for flavonoid, tannin, alkaloid, saponin, positive, and then so for research documentation and for the treatment with chemical drug with use gel bioplastin gel for the first day. So you can see in my slide for day 7, for day to 10, 12. We can for day 2. In the okay, you can see. So, and for the without treatment, you can see in my slide. The research that has been done shown that the average rat test animal experience an inflammatory phase on day 1 to day 3. However, in the negative control treatment group, rat experience an inflammatory phase until day 4 and also had the longest healing time along the other treatment group. This is because the rat were not given any treatment, the cold have the healing process of burn. In addition, the rat in the negative control felt uncomfortable and in pain with their wounds. So the rat scratched and licked their wounds. So there are also rat that rub again the wound on the cake. And this causes the wound to widen and the infection slow down the healing process of the burn. So and then for the next formulation, for concentration 10%, 15%. So and then 20%. You can see in my you can see picture in my slide. So and this result for concentration for the formulation 1 treatment group to 10 concentration experienced to slowest wound healing process compared to formulation. And then to formulation and treat formulation and the formulation treatment groups experienced faster wound healing time than formulation 1 and 2. This is because the higher the active substance content of binahong leaf extract, the faster the healing times for burn. In addition, feeding protein the form of corn 3 times a day also affect the healing process of burn in rats. So in the next my presentation is I want to show you this external drug preparation. This is traditional medicine formulation, and I was founded, and then I want to show all of you about use this is oil for diabetic thumb one. So you can see this picture in my slide. The iPhone liquid formulation for external medicine based on pure natural ingredient. It started with osteoarthritis that I experienced. For 2 weeks, I tried to routinely use the oil, and then alhamdulillah, thanks to God, my pain is cured. So then one day I thought whether this oil could possibly be used to kill cancer tissue. And so I met one nurse who happened to be treating a breast cancer patient. I decided to test the oil on breast cancer patient. And then, Masya Allah, very surprising and amazing for result of wound care with the addition of this oil treatment, and I want to show the result to all of you. Next I want to show you again about health diabetic one, the result for to use my oil, and then in this my slide, the next my slide. I'm so sorry. Nah, in this for Mama cancer one, you can see for very better one day 1 and day 6 and day 9. This the history of the patient suffering from breast cancer has been 2 years. Her enthusiasm has decreased. So we offer to try treating the wound with the addition of this oil, and then patient is agree. For the first time patient come to clinic, the wound smell very bad and pus is coming out. The patient receive standard care with natrium chloride and povidone. So, and then treatment is carried out very 3 days. On the 4th treatment, it doesn't smell and pus doesn't come out. So on 10th treatment, for maybe 13 days, 3 days, the wet tissue peel off so that the necrosis could be removed. So for 12 treatment, the wound began to clean and the red lumps began to deflate. And then, Masya Allah, yesterday was the 45 days. The patient came in with a clean and thinner wound, and then the swelling in the armpits separate and return to being soft like breast tissue. The wound is getting thinner and flush with the skin. So I was very glad, and then it is elephantiasis, and then the next I want to show you again about mama cancer one after biopsy, and 42 days so not get one again, ya. So in the bahasa sembuh kali ya. So for the and my presentation in for conclusion, several natural ingredient can be used to treat wound because they have been proven empirically and through several studies. Further development is needed regarding the quality of ingredient and safety if it is to be developed into traditional herbal medicine or standardized herbal medicine. So I want say thank you and for the channel and focus on my presentation, and then I back again to moderator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Eko Retnowati, for the explanation about herbal medicine for wound. Yeah, so that is the external use of herbal medicine that already also has effectiveness, even if the use is for the external use. So, okay, for the participant here.
I'm so sorry, Miss Karisma. Can I have to leave the Zoom because I have another event. I'm so sorry.
Okay, Mrs. Retnowati. So if you have another agenda, so maybe for the participant, if you have question about the Mr. Retnowati explanation, you can corresponding in her email, yeah. Okay, thank you for Mrs. Retnowati.
Okay, thank you to all participants. I'm sorry because I have to leave the Zoom. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, so for the participant, okay, now we will go to the Okay, for all the participants, yeah, I'm so glad that you still join this Zoom. So now we will go. Now we will have the last presentation from Mr. Apotheker Muhammad Nurul Fadel, Master of Pharmacy from University Muhammadiyah Kudus. Before we moving forward to his presentation, I will read the curriculum vitae. Okay, so Mr. Apotheker Muhammad Nurul Fadel, Master of Pharmacy. He was born in Pati, 11 April 1993, and his religion is Islam. And then now currently he lives in Desa Kedung Winong, Sukolilo, Pati. And for his education, he studied Sarjana Farmasi in Universitas Setiabudi 2015, and then for the pharmacist profession, he studied at Universitas Setiabudi 2016, and then he followed the Magister Farmasi in Universitas Setiabudi in 2019, and then his working experience, yeah. Now he is the apoteker penanggung jawab in Apotek Sehat Kudus in 2016 until 2021, and then now he is the apoteker penanggung jawab in Apotek Kedung Winong Pati and Apotek Prawoto Pati, and he is also as a lecturer in Universitas Muhammadiyah Kudus in S1 Farmasi and also in the apoteker study. Okay, now before to save our time, we learn from the presentation from the Mr. Muhammad Nurul Fadel, Master of Pharmacy. For Mr. Muhammad Nurul Fadel, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you for very much for this time, Mr. Karisma. Sorry, Mr. Karisma, can you help me for share my PowerPoint?
Okay.
Wait. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Karisma, Mrs. Karisma. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin. Sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Good afternoon for our speaker and participant of this webinar. The Honorable Rector of University Muhammadiyah Kudus and staff, the Honorable Dean Faculty of Pharmacy University Muhammadiyah Kudus and staff, all lecturer of pharmacy and all the participants who attended today. Okay, today I will present to you a material about is this efficacy of butterfly pea or Clitoria ternatea lin in herbal medicine. Why? Where is Clitoria ternatea? Because Clitoria ternatea is currently one of the plant that become a trend in Indonesia. Especially, it has a blue color from anthocyanin compound. The blue color is so beautiful that is widely used for the creation of various kinds of healthy food and drinks. Next, Mrs. Karisma. Okay. On this slide,